Hello, happy Sunday. Welcome to my live. I hope to talk to some people today about anything else that might be on your mind. There's a link in the top of the chat. If you click on it, you'll be able to come right into the studio. We can chat face to face or voice to voice. If you want to leave a text, is fine. Hey, Deep State Annex, how are you today? Today, I would love to chat about anything having to do with faith, with God, with atheism, free thinking, religion of any sort, how religion may have helped your life, how your faith in God may have helped your life, or how leaving religion may have been a good experience or a bad experience. I'd like to chat about any of those things, take any questions that anyone might have, and take it from there. I understand, Deep State. Just happy to have you here. I think I've seen you around. I don't remember if you're an atheist or a theist or where you're coming from, but just glad to have you in. That would be nice, Deep State. Love to hear stories about how religion impacted people's lives. Appreciate it. Really do. I found that when leaving religion, I became more mentally clear and mentally stable. I found that when I was in evangelicalism and was a Christian for many years, I never had clarity in my mind. There's so much to think about, you know, contemplating the situation you might be in. But then what does God think about that? It's it gets really wild, right? Trying to find answers from a God, all you're really doing is thinking of different options and wondering what a God might think about your situation, and it becomes very convoluted. So I find it to be very confusing, actually. Now, as a non believer, my mind is much more free, much more free. Mm. Be right back. All right, cool. So I am new to the whole live stream thing, and I'm really just getting used to it. It's kind of funny talking to yourself, but maybe I can cover a couple things. Uh, some of the things been on my mind recently. It is religious trauma. It's something I personally don't feel I have had any religious trauma, but I do know it's a thing. And I heard a accurate statistic just today that 1/3 of all people in America say that they have suffered some form of religious trauma. And now, trauma is not a good thing. It's not a good psychological thing. So it's kind of like, if we didn't have religion in our society, maybe we wouldn't have so much religious trauma. It's a shame that religions do play with the minds of people, and it can be a negative thing in churches for sure. All right, Deep State. Let's see. Anne. Nevada Baptist Convention. Nice. Anything you want to share, Anne? Love to hear your experience and what you've learned about the Baptist Convention, and Southern Baptist in general. I could see that, Anne. I think a lot of church groups are like that. Let me see. Commander. In fact, mega churches that I'm aware of are mostly about the money, mostly about investing in real estate and building financial empires. I hear you, Anne. Hear that.
Hello. My internet slows, so I have about a 2-second delay.
That's okay. I have
You're
a dog
from New York,
barking
so
back.
well, you're from New York City, so you have better choices of internet. I have Spectrum and Spectrum only.
Not in New York now. I come from New York, but I'm in Florida. And the internet I have is pretty good.
Yeah, I have religious trauma. I observed it. So you go from Jew to Christian to handing Howard Dean a book written by Tim Moore to Howard Dean using that book to Tim Moore later getting fired for writing it. And just watching as you realize the evangelicals want half the country to curse God and die so that they can feel special. It was late November, early December 2011. Only time legislation to take God off the money was ever introduced was when Republicans controlled the House. Only 3% voted to take God off the money, and the evangelical leaders pretended that the vote was close. They didn't care about any of the theology that they said prevented people from voting for John Kerry when it came to Mitt Romney. And at the time, like in 2013, when the Christianity collapsed, I was the only white person in a building full of people who believed that they were God's holy people because of their breeding. and I was the only one who could speak Hebrew. And I realized by 2013 that Christianity was just a political tool. And and I realized they never once wanted anyone to, like, you know how most Jews are more aligned with the Democrats than Republicans? And that's because you can care about the poor in Judaism while they, like, have the political, then evangelicalism prevents them from caring about certain things. And I basically found Christianity like a prison for your mind. It was like welcoming, and then it was like, oh, you can't think this way. Because it's like, they called it liberal legalism, where anything that makes you question what the most crooked preachers or politicians are doing is liberal legalism. I'm
Well,
sorry if I'm not making sense.
what do you think about the state of the country now?
I think they want to turn America into a vassal state of Russia. And it's not even what they're selling. What they're selling as Christianity is not even. When you grow up Jewish, they'll warn you about certain things about what to watch for with the Christians because of the Nazis and that whole history. The Nazis were huge into theosophy, and the eschatology that the Nazis have, the theosophists have, is an inverse of what's actually in the New Testament. Like in the New Testament, it says the Antichrist will be given power to wage war against the saints for a certain period of time and to conquer them. And he won't be dealt with until they come to the until he brings the armies of the damned to the hill of Megiddo. And Jesus comes back supernaturally and says but one word. While the Theosophists believe that their little church will take names, Tiklat sees the minion, and only that, after that, will their Messiah return. And the Theosophist eschatology is more like the eschatology of the seven mountains. And
Now,
that's something that Jews would pick up on. And anyone who studied what Hitler did with the churches during World War II would pick up on. I have first got interested in Christianity because of a guy called Dr. Gary Cohen. And he did a sermon against Christian nationalism back in 2014, not 2014, 2004.
do you have any religious belief now?
No, it's more like agnostic. If something happens to some evidence would come my way, I'd believe it. But right now, I just think everything that's happening is just a bunch of crazies acting crazy off the religious texts, trying to fulfill their ugly desires. And until something basically the faith collapsed over time. I even went back to the synagogue in 2014 and did not have any interest in anything involving Christianity until I heard Jim Baker talking about how some assholes in Israel thought Trump was the Messiah. And even then, I had thrown Christianity to the curb. But like I say, this is absolute bullshit that has to be monitored. I just did a stream on it, actually. I got my start with YouTube in
Well,
ReligiTubes, wound up in the skeptic community.
well, I'm a pretty skeptical person, and I kind of agree that the religion we see today is all about political power, at least in America. It seems very, very geared towards controlling people, in America, taking over the country type of thing, Christian nationalism. And I think it's a real danger. All right.
It's grotesque.
Let me say to Matthew, you don't believe in atheists? You're looking at one. Run away from Mormons. I don't know why I would run away from Mormons. Not looking to run away from Mormons.
My mom had a saying that a lot of Mormons can be very nice, but if one of them claims to be a prophet, run the other way.
Well, I find in my life, the Mormons I've met have been very nice people. Right? Generally, I mean, I've never encountered Mormons I thought were really bad. I don't think what they believe is very, very based on anything real. But
Joseph Smith made up some bullshit, dumb, like in South Park.
Yeah, I mean the whole Book of Mormon is like just a work of fiction, But that's okay. So is L. Ron Hubbard's book, right? Fictional.
Yeah, I think that was because of a bet. I think someone bet him that he couldn't, or I know it was like for a tax thing, but it might also have been a bet. But it is ridiculous, and I've had a friend who talked too much about the Scientologists, and they scared the shit out of him. Those people are scary.
So there's a Mormon here named Phil. Yeah, I mean, Phil, I can chat with you. I don't think you could possibly convince me to believe in the things of Mormonism, but happy to talk.
Oh, I do have something to talk about because I am a Jew, and a coworker of mine was, he said he was a quarter Native American. Racists at the shipyard used to accuse us of being cousins. And one of them was a Mormon.
So Mormons can turn ugly.
Well, like everyone can turn ugly. To give you an idea, no group is immune from the assholery. So where I worked, those who know my backstory will know, but I don't think I should be spreading it anymore given his president. I worked at a major defense contractor, and I had people with 3 security stars on their badge. Basically, they could look at nuclear power plant prints saying nice things about Putin and telling me that Hitler could do a better job than Obama. And when I told those stories at a synagogue, there were Jews who said, darn right he could, and I had to look at them and say, really? Did Obama leave upwards of 90 million corpses littering the earth? Did he leave a continent as a smoking crater? If he didn't, then Obama objectively did a better job than that asshole. And that they said, yeah, you're right. So you actually, and then there was like probably the only Jewish Klansman. And I'm not going to even say where I was at the time. Those should know my backstory, Will, but I don't want the guy to, he's an asshole. But they would kill him. He infiltrated the Klan because of his hatred of black people. And he was at the synagogue. So no group is at all immune from that kind of assholery. Even groups that have been victims of the assholery. I hope I didn't bug you too much.
I like the word assholery. That's cool.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear
Yeah.
you now.
Thanks for having me on. I know my name is confusing. I'm actually not a Mormon. I live in Mormonville. I'm surrounded by Mormons. So,
Utah?
no, Rexburg, Idaho. They're actually building a second temple there.
Oh,
I'm about 3 hours from Salt Lake City.
I'm not familiar with that, but must be similar to being in Utah, I guess.
Very, actually, 97% of the population here is Mormon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, what do you have a particular faith, or you?
I'm a Christian.
Okay, so a particular denomination of Christian, or no?
No, I consider myself non denominational.
Do you have a home church you go to?
Yeah, I do actually. I run a home fellowship. I'm actually physically disabled. I have an autoimmune condition that's affecting everything from my digestive system to my heart and my brain. So, hey, you could use that brain. I'm damaged. That's why I'm a Christian type of thing. Go for it.
You're not gonna you're not gonna hear that from me.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not here to debate you, sir. I'm just here to have a discussion if you guys
Oh,
would like
there you
to.
go.
I'm not here to
I
be.
don't. I like debate sometimes, but I'm not a person who gets in debates. I'd like to just talk because
I'm the exact same
I'm
way.
just a
I
regular
am.
guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, same here. I'm just a regular guy, and so, like I said, anyone's welcome. I'm actually laying in bed right now because I can't move around too much, and I just started browsing YouTube and saw that you just went live. Matter of fact, to be honest with you, I've never heard of you before, and I said,
I know. I
anyone's
have a
welcome. So I
very
figured, hey,
small following. In fact, I
And
appreciate anybody to subscribe.
for Mormons,
yeah, you can
um,
call me Phil, by the way,
I
if
would
you want.
Phil, I just did a stream that, I originally came from ReligiTube and not religious anymore. But I wound up doing a stream that, you're a Christian, you actually might find interesting, and especially if you're not a toxic Christian, because even though I don't believe in it, I'm concerned with the level of hate, and Mike, I'm noticing things from basically Nazis were huge into theosophy, and wherever there is their eschatology, you can bet most of the time you're dealing with Nazis. I think your religion, I'm not saying your personal religion, but I'm saying the church itself is being infiltrated and abused and used in a horrible way.
Well, I've actually, so I have a channel of my own, and the reason it's called For Mormons is I'm actually, in my area, the only one Christian who is trying to witness to Mormons. That's the reason it's for Mormons. If you don't know anything about Mormon background, is anyone who's not a Mormon and is trying to reach out to him, even if you're an atheist, they automatically put a tag on you calling you anti-Mormon. So I'm just kind of a wordplay. That's what my name is. But going to the point that you made, Commander 401, do you mind if I just call you Commander? I don't mean to be offensive. It's just a lot of words
Sure.
to say all at once. I definitely agree with you on a point. I've actually done a few streams with other Christian brothers talking about how we're all just going attacking each other over things that I consider stupid and not worth even getting into fights about. I'm sure both of you are aware. I think I read in your description, Brooklyn, if you don't mind if I just call you Brooklyn, sir.
That's fine.
But you said you were a former Christian. You know,
Yeah,
there's a lot of
many years.
infighting between what we call the Protestants and the Catholics and the Orthodox and all that kind of stuff. It's really out there. And Commander, politically, I don't want to go into politics. This is not the point, not the issue, but I will definitely agree with you that on the right there are a lot of what you would call Nazis. There's a lot of hatred and racism on that side, which really disgusts me. So we're in agreement as far as that goes. I'm not disagreeing with you at all as far as that.
So, for Mormon, how long have you been a Christian?
I've been a Christian for 31 years.
That's a while.
Yeah, I actually I started out as an atheist and was a Gnostic. I actually got involved in the occult for a couple of years. I lived on the streets for 2 years. I was a drug addict, and just a lot of questions that I had, and did a lot of research. And I think you're talking midstream about how some Mormons are nice, but some can be really really nasty. I actually spent 2 years in a small town in Utah. And because I wasn't part of their religion, I went through some pretty horrible stuff. But a lot of that can be said too when you go into the Bible Belt. That can happen as well. Anywhere that there's a dominant philosophy, and even, and again, I'm not saying this in attacking, but even in a place where you go into an area where there's, let's say, atheism or Gnosticism is dominant. If you're a part of the majority, I think the minority will face a backlash.
America.
I'm not trying to attack anyone. I'm just saying from personal experience and when I've
I'm
observed.
wondering if there is a place like that, because I don't know of one. But I know a lot of Christian dominant places. Of course, you hear of certain Muslim dominated places like Dearborn, Michigan, and then Mormons, Utah, like you mentioned, and the place you are. But I have not encountered like an atheist dominant area in the United States.
Well, I don't want to get into politics, but for example, if you look on the West Coast, that's where I'm more familiar with the East Coast. You have places like Oregon, especially Portland, and places like that. We saw a lot of it during the protests that happened during the 2020s and stuff like that.
You think that was like atheist? Because I didn't read it like that.
I'm not labeling everyone, but I'm saying it's not. Would you say Portland is a majority Christian
I don't really
town?
know the demographics there. I just know I remember watching the protests and the people rioting on the streets, and
Yeah.
I was unaware of any religious or non-religious affiliation. I don't know that they even reported on that.
Well, a couple of things that I've noticed. So in Portland and in Seattle during the area, remember we had Chaz and stuff like that. There was a couple of people who were Christians who were trying to peacefully say their mind, and they were attacked and stuff by that. Now, those people who were part of the protests and stuff, were they all atheists? I can't label that. But what I can say is, to me, it was obvious during that time that it definitely wasn't a bunch of Christians that were looting and burning. And again, I'm not doing this to cast seeds. I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm just saying, I think there are incidences when there is one majority.
Don't worry about it, because, like I said, I just want to understand what your thoughts are. It's not. I don't have a bias against particular religions. All right, I do think that the most dangerous thing in America today, from my perspective, would be the Christian nationalist movement. To make America Christian or some sort of a theocracy, I think is extremely dangerous. And I think
I agree with you.
violent.
I agree. I think, and that was the concern of the founding fathers of this country. That's why they didn't want to set up a theocracy. There was freedom of religion to worship the way that you want, even if you had a religion. But they didn't want to set up a theocracy. Like, for example, over in England, they had the Church of England that was running it. And then, of course, we look at the Islamic countries themselves, Iran, Pakistan, all that kind of stuff. We have a theocracy. So I agree that, no, this country should not be set up and as a quote-unquote, this is a Christian country and you've got to be a Christian to be a part of the ruling class. I agree with you on that.
No,
And then it's not only like a Christian, but, and this is the thing that even when I believed in Christianity, I was always afraid of, that it would go into different subsets and divide into smaller and smaller groups. And then you'd have the power of the state to
I agree with you.
force you to believe and espouse things that aren't even in the Bible.
I agree with both of you. Just so I know, to be honest with you, Commander and Brooklyn, I really don't know anything about either one of you, and you both mentioned that you came from Christianity. Could I? And I'm not bringing this up for debate. I just want to know your background, and you're free to ask me any question. But could I ask you? Did you grow up Christian? I mean, what happened, and what was it that caused you to leave? Just so I understand where you're coming from.
Amanda, you can go first. I know that you were Jewish, right?
Yep, Jewish. And then I originally got interested in Christianity because I heard people talking about the church as if it was a political party. And when you also grow up Jewish, they tell you things to watch out for with Christians that Hitler did. And then it sort of grew on me. I wound up knowing 3/4 of the officers of the Florida Democratic Party. They basically, before they had organizations in like Media Matters and stuff, Denise Glasser told me, just listen to Christian radio and give me an idea of what words should we use to, in there's little phrases, like when the preachers are talking, they say things and in context, people will read into it. So I wound up monitoring a lot of the evangelicals and just giving them little words to put in the mouths of the politicians to, well, my grandparents gave Denise Glasser a job in the 70s at their factory, so that was my connection, and she later became important.
So I wound up political background.
Yeah, but it wound up growing on me, and I genuinely, at least one time, believed it. And then I watched how they handled Obama, and I watched how they responded to the Democrats' outreach to the evangelicals. Now, this is a fact. Between 2006 and 2008, most of the Democrats who were new to the system, who were elected, were socially conservative. New to the system, you had Bart Stupak holding things Nancy Pelosi wanted hostage to wind up acknowledging the pro-life position in the House. And the Republicans, well, there was in the minutes of Michael Steele's strategy meeting, it said if a Democrat recycles an idea from Reagan, call him a socialist. And then a few days later, the Liberty University Democrats, whose charter was approved by Jerry Falwell Jr. or Jerry Falwell Sr., was revoked because they were now socialists. And the entire evangelical apparatus decided to deal with people like me in the same way Hitler decided to deal with Jews. Because Karl Marx was raised a Jew. And even though I'm not a communist, let me separate Marxism. There's bitching about how rich people do bad things to poor people, which is legitimate. But the solutions Marx had for the problems sucked. So, like the cry of the prophet, wanting people to eat, caring about the poor, seek justice, correct oppression, plead the widow's cause, the altruistic morality that tells us we are our brother's keeper. There was a war waged against that as anything that the churches used to support politically that the Democrats liked was labeled socialism and communism. And they conflated that morality in pretty much the same way Hitler charged the Jews with all being communists because of the gushing about the poor, wanting to seek justice, correct oppression, plead the widow's cause. And it was like, you're treating me in the same way that Ayn Rand treated Christians back in the 1970s. That's your response to me wanting to be part of your religion. And then
And is that what
going
disillusioned you?
on.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
It disillusioned me. It disillusioned me greatly. And then I was well aware, like, there were people that I knew when I was growing up in South Florida who were thrown out of church because John Kerry was a Catholic. And they said Catholics believed in works-based gospels. And if you voted for John Kerry, that was giving approval to a works-based gospel. And they were going to use church discipline. And then I was like, well, what about the errors of the Mormon church?
Oh, there's
Doesn't
a lot.
that matter?
Yeah, there's
I had a preacher basically, I just brought this up and he called me a Nazi. This was the last time I was in church in 2013. And I said, it was about a week before the election. And I said, if I'm a Nazi, maybe I need to repent. And I walked out of the church going, oh, the nave of Panima, death is Yehudi, singing the Israeli national anthem right out of church. And he never apologized.
Commander, if I can just say this really quick, I want to empathize with you and from the bottom of my heart, what you had to endure with that, especially from that preacher and everything, that was wrong. And that was definitely un-Christ-like. And so I'm not defending that, and I'm sorry that you had to endure that. I really do. I wasn't responsible, but I want you to know that my heart goes out to you for that. I'm sorry that you had to endure it.
So let me tell you my story for moments.
Sure.
I was born into Catholicism. That was pretty much the earliest recollections of Christianity. You know, I was baptized as an infant, went through the catechism, first Holy Communion, and confirmation. So those are the early stages of my Christianity. When I got a little older, I started reading the Bible at a very young age. Well, not after like 5th grade, 6th grade. I don't know how young that is, but it's young to me. You know, I'm a pretty old guy. So I started reading the Bible, read the Living Translation. All right. The Living Translation was, at the time, I had a paperback called The Way. It was very popular back then for young people. And I started reading it, became fascinated with it, thought about it from time to time, but never really took a dive. Got older, at probably about 25 years old, I gave my life to Jesus, repented of the sins I was involved in, and became a devout, born-again style Christian. I lived like that for many years. And then probably about 13 years ago or so, I started studying a lot of things outside of the Bible. And I started realizing that a lot of the things I thought were true, I just could not see them as true anymore. And little by little, the Christian pillars that held up my faith kind of started falling. And after a while, I just realized I didn't believe it anymore. So that's kind of, how I became an atheist. It was years of study and gradually moving away from Christianity. And that was probably about 10 years ago or so. I don't really keep a track of the years, but it's been quite a while, and I never looked back, really. I've been an atheist ever since then.
Okay, that's yeah. No, I see where you're coming from. I would like to learn more about that. The lady that was on previously, I'm sorry, I'm having a lot of medical problems, so I'm hard time remembering names. But the lady that was on also, are you, Brooklyn? I'm just trying to get an understanding. Have you been streaming for a while, or?
Oh,
I'd
no.
like to subscribe to your channel, or are you just starting
I
out?
mean,
Or?
I'm not streaming. Definitely new to this whole thing. And
Right.
I just got involved in YouTube. And to be honest with you, the only reason I wanted to go on YouTube at all was kind of the political movement in America, because what I've been seeing is America becoming dominated by, like a far right religious thing. And being non religious, I think it's a very dangerous place to be. So that's kind of why I wanted to try to little by little get my voice out there. Not that I can change anything, but just want to get my voice out there and let people know how other people think, because America seems to be dominated by a type of Christianity. That's pretty much it for why I'm even doing this. But no, I'm very new to this, and I'm not good at it either. So,
No. You're not. I'm not being critical at all for either one of you. I just want to let you know, because someone's asking me in private chat. You probably see it, but there's
now
a Lupin Wolf
I
asking if this is
struggle.
2-in-1 and to relate it to you. So I'm
You
just
know
doing
how
them a
you
favor.
struggle with certain illness? Well, I struggle with paying attention to more than one thing at a time.
Okay.
so, I'm a big pot smoker. So
Okay.
I think over the years I've been smoking pot because I'm 62 years old now. I think it
Okay.
has impacted my ability to do like two or three things at the same time. And I can, I don't remember a lot of things like from the Bible. I have a working grasp of the Bible because I was into it for so long. But if you get into the Bible and say, where is this located in the Bible? I probably for sure recognize the verse, but I won't know. I won't know exactly where it. Let me see. I'll let this guy in here. There you go. Got someone
Hi,
else.
Lupin.
There we
Hi.
are. Hello. How are you?
Good. I saw you there. I was just saying to Four Mormons, it's hard for me to talk to multiple people at the same time.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right.
Yeah.
And but I do the best I can.
Yeah, the weed sometimes messes that up too a little bit. Sometimes that weed gets you hyper. At least for me,
Well,
whenever I would smoke, I
I'm
would
a-
get hyper focused on something.
I'm an avid weed smoker.
Yeah. It also scatterbrained at the same time. It's a very strange thing. I don't do it too much anymore.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's had a, I've been smoking every day for like, many years now.
Yeah, it's not good for me.
Oh, may I just say something really
So
quick
one
before we
one
go
at a
on
time.
anything?
Four Mormons. Complete your
Yeah.
thought.
And I can change my name to Phil. I just use that as my streaming tag. It doesn't really matter whatever you call me. I don't get offended. What I wanted to offer to you and also to the other lady, and I'll stay on the stream as long as you want me to, but if you guys ever wanted to come on and share your stories with me, and like I said, I am not here to debate. I want to have a discussion like you're doing right now. And I know you're more focused on politics and stuff. But I'd be more than happy, maybe you can toss some views your way.
Are you a streamer as well?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, what's your channel called?
Four Mormons.
Are you
It's
Mormon?
actually no. I'm a Christian who lives in an area that's 97% Mormons.
Okay.
And so, what my focus on is I try to share my faith with the Mormons. So that's the Four Mormon tag. And I get asked about this all the time. I'm on Discord, and everyone's always asking, "Are you a Mormon?" and all that kind of stuff, which leads into really interesting discussions. But like I said, I'll be happy, Brooklyn, to stay on here and talk with anyone who wants and ask questions. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not too politically up to date. I'm more focused on religion and that kind of stuff. So if that's the direction you're going, I really don't have much input. But I do want to offer you and that lady who I can't remember her name. I'd be more than happy to spend time talking with you guys, and I'm not looking to convert or anything. I just want to have an open conversation and just go from there. And like I said, since you're new to the stream, it might bring some viewers your direction as well too.
Always welcome.
Who is the woman?
I can't remember her name. She was just on here.
Commander.
Commander, yeah.
Number, but it was Commander with a number.
Okay. Friend of yours or?
No, I don't. I don't know any of you folks till now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do.
So I'm going to show you really quick. I'm literally laying in bed. Hello.
Yeah.
So that's why I've got my camera turned off right now.
That's comfortable.
But no, I'm just saying, if I don't know exactly what the topic is, so I came in, just at the beginning of the stream, and I don't want to go off of your topic, sir, at all. I want to respect your stream.
Let me tell you what I really was hoping to talk about, and that is faith, religion, Christianity in America, and what faith has meant to people, why they believe the things they believe, and also atheists, how they became atheists, if they became atheists, right? And how that decision may have impacted their lives. So it's kind of both ways. But for me, obviously, I'm an atheist. So that's, my perspective is going to be an atheist perspective.
Okay. Hey, man, this is my wheelhouse, man. I talk about all the crap that we're not supposed to talk about: religion, politics, and whatever the third one is. There was a third one that they said you shouldn't really talk about, but whatever that is, I'm an American though. I talk about whatever I like. Yeah, no, it's that's good, man. You're an atheist, and I heard a little bit of your story. But you seem friendly enough. You don't seem like a militant atheist yet. Sometimes it takes a while and it'll sneak out of people. But so far, you seem like a solid person. And by the way,
I don't know why I would be militant, all right, because I'm really not a militant person. I'm an old man, so my days of being militant are long gone. All right. If this was 30 years ago, when I was young, my mid-20s, I was, a fighter and a brawler and all that. but at this point in my life, I'm not militant whatsoever. All right. I do stand by the things I think are valuable to me, but I'm not against any groups, really.
May I ask you a question really quick? Can you give me a definition? And I guess not Lupin, I'm at Brooklyn. Sorry, I don't know. I'm getting their names all mixed up. I've got my computer hooked up to my television. So could you guys give me your definition of what you think faith is? What faith, when you hear the word faith, what does that mean to you?
Well, I think it means a variety of different things. I can say what it means for me, but people define it differently. Right? there's the
Just what it
biblical.
means to you.
Okay,
That is
you
that's
know
a
that.
very underrated question. I like that question. Go for it.
Well, you know Hebrews, so that's the biblical thing, all right? But for me, it's believing in something, putting your faith and trust or trusting in something that you don't know is true. So that's kind of what I see it as.
How about Lupin? I don't know your background. Are you an atheist or?
No, I'm a non-denominational Christian.
Okay, nice to meet you, brother.
Nice to meet you.
Um, Brooklyn, if you don't mind, I just looked up. I went on to dictionary.com and for a definition of faith, and I want to know if you would agree with this. It's number two. I searched under religion. Now, number two, it says a specific fundamental set of beliefs and practices generally agreed upon by a number of persons or sects. Would you agree that would be a good definition for faith?
I think it's one of the definitions of faith.
I cheated
Okay.
too. I googled it because I like the way that you asked it. What is faith to you? What is faith to you? I think that's a very important thing because there's a dictionary definition and then there's a personal definition. So
Right.
uh, if you were to ask me if I you don't mind me chiming in real quick, I'll make it quick.
Please.
Faith is something that you put your belief in, even if you're not 100% sure that it is true or not, but you put all your you put all of your it's hard to you use the say the word beliefs and faiths is almost interchangeable, but you put all your eggs in one basket because you believe something to be so true that you almost don't question it. Like, I don't know if that's a good answer. That's a I like you know what that's a difficult way to answer that question that you've had
That
asked.
that goes along kind of the lines where I view faith.
Yeah, I agreed with your view of faith. Except the only thing that I would add is that you do have some belief in it, and then you also have some like a belief that it could not be true. Like you could not be true, but you just have faith in. You have faith in it. You put whether or not you put faith in. You put your faith 100% into it. Um, I liked your definition. I think your definition was an honest one. If I
Well, that's how I see it. But you know, I mean, there's the biblical definition in Hebrews, but I don't really count that because I don't.
No, no, and I'm not asking from a biblical perspective, and I like what Lupin said, and again, Brooklyn, I really liked your answer too. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions concerning your atheism beliefs? And again, I'm not looking to get into a debate at all, at all. I'm not looking to get into a debate. I promise you.
Like I said, I'm just gonna say what I think.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, it's your stream,
Don't be
sir, and
wrong.
I'm not looking to take control or anything like that. Um, so, for when I was an atheist, my personal belief was there is no supreme being, there is no God. It's all basically material. We come from matter. You have the Big Bang explosion, you have Darwinian evolution. We arose from basically chance, from a single-celled organism, and evolved into what we are today. And it's all based on materialistic fact. Matter of fact, the large majority of secular scientists, and I know this quote. I can look it up verbatim if you want for the source, but I can find it for you. But basically, they say that I think Dawkins actually said this, that even if something appears to have an evident design, it's just something that our brain is interpreting that way, and so we can't allow for the existence of a creator. Everything has to be explained naturally, that type of thing. Is that kind of how you view the world?
Um, Not exactly, but there's definitely aspects of what you said I do believe. Right. To me, my atheism is not an absolute knowledge or an absolute statement. All right. My atheism is a lack of belief. So I'm a classic atheist, I guess would be the word for it.
Okay.
I don't know for sure if there's anything out there other than what I can see and observe and what I can have an understanding of. So when it
Okay.
goes into, like, I can relate to what Dawkins said in your quote, all right, but I think it's like I don't see saying there's a God or saying there's something supernatural that occurred as having any explanatory value whatsoever. It's just kicking the can down the road type of thing. All right.
Right, right.
I don't see, you know, it's like it's a non-answer, you know, and
So
I
would
think
it be
we
more
can get
like, are
more
you open
answers
to, are you kind of
in
saying,
that
and I'm trying to
field.
understand what you're saying. I don't want to be accused of putting words into your mouth. I'm really trying to understand where you're coming
Trying
from.
to figure out if you're an agnostic.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure
You're
out is
agnostic.
do you think that there could possibly be something out there that you're not aware of, or are you strictly there is no possibility that there's anything out there?
I'm not the positive claim type that would say, I know that there's nothing out there. Um, I don't know. So I'm not going to make that statement. All right. But
Okay.
I'm comfortable saying what I believe, and I do not believe there is any gods out there. So I'm not going to make a positive claim that I know that nothing is out there. All right.
Okay.
Because I don't. And I don't
Hey,
like to lie.
you're
No, and I
you're
appreciate your openness, sir. And I'm not trying to put you in a corner. I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from. So,
So I
and
think of myself as both agnostic and atheist.
I mean,
gotcha.
that's a lot more honest answer than you would hear from a lot of atheists. So I'm happy to hear that you leave open some possibility that there is a creator, whether now that creator is the God of the Bible, or if it's Allah, or if it's Buddha, or and some or maybe some deity that we don't even know about. You leave that window open or that door open for possibility, right? Correct.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I say I'm agnostic. I don't know. All
Correct.
right.
Yeah.
Agnosticism, as far as I understand it, is dealing with knowledge, something you absolutely know. Right. So I'm agnostic. I don't know, all possibilities or all things that are possible. All right. But I know that I don't believe in any of these gods. All right. And the reason I don't believe in any of these gods is I see no reason to. Right. And that's pretty much how I'm an atheist. I don't believe in gods. So I'm both.
Could
Okay.
you? Sorry, I don't want to talk over Lupin or either one of you, so I don't want to say too much. There's three of us in the channel here, but Brooklyn, you had mentioned when you told me how you became where you are now, that there was you were reading some extra stuff, which actually I would encourage every Christian, and I think Lupin, you would agree with me. The Bible actually encourages us to challenge our faith and to look at other
Amen.
sources and stuff like that.
100%. Amen.
Um, and if I may ask Brooklyn, you said there are some pillars or stuff that were kind of knocked down that caused you to start doubting. Would you mind? Because I really am wanting to understand you, and that's why I'm here. Would you mind kind of going into detail in a couple of them?
Sure. Sure. Let me think back in my journey out of religion. Um, one of the first things that I think came down that I remember was biblical literalism. Okay, like I was the type of Christian who believed um,
6 day
every
creation.
every word in the Bible. All right, so I was the type that looked at Genesis and seen a historical story, right? And when I learned about evolution, which I never studied before, but I probably remember, I probably forget most of it, but it was like a year worth of studying evolution and the proof of evolution, that I decided that that was true, that it happened and was true. So I kind of had to throw away the book of Genesis, you know, the origins, the Adam and Eve story, and that. So that would be one thing that came down. So I became
Okay.
less literal, and I tried to hold on to my faith,
Science
but
and science.
you know, it was one thing after another, really. But
Yeah,
that
that's
would be
So
one.
on the evolution, really quick, if we can just break it down. When you talk about evolution, I'm going to use the term Darwinian evolution in the sense the way Darwin explained it, and then there's also the process of natural selection. So when you talk about evolution, are you talking about like molecules to man, like I mentioned earlier, or are you talking about like natural selection, where birds like the finches and the Galapagos Islands, they have different beak shapes. You've observed
Yeah,
that. Are you talking about that both in together, or I mean, if you could just define that a little further for
for
me?
me, it was about natural selection. Uh, Pretty much. I mean, now I'm not an expert on Darwin, but it was pretty much what you would call, you know, what is his book, Origin of Species. So it was
All right. Do you know
about,
the full title of his book?
wasn't it just called Origin of Species?
and
No, 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 no.
the struggle for
You mean there's more
superiority,
to it?
superiority over races.
Well,
Or
what?
I can look. Let me look up the entire title. But the reason
Yeah,
I'm asking this is actually, as Christians, we believe in natural selection.
well,
The
and
issue
Mike,
that we have
and
comes
Mike,
to because
if
we
you
don't see
believe
like with
in evolution through natural selection, I don't see how you can be someone who believes in Adam and Eve and the creation account.
okay. No, that's fair. That's really good fair. Let me just pull up the name of that book really quick.
um, well, you know what? You're actually very correct on that. If you break down macro evolution, which I don't think I'm a young Earth creation. I am a Bible literalist when it comes to literal things that are in the Bible that are meant to be taken as literal. Like as far as historical things that have happened, that those are literal. Of course, there are it's like songs and Solomon, songs of Solomon, poetic things that are not necessarily supposed to be taken literal. um, but I do believe in the literal interpretation of some things. And you bring up a very good point with evolution conflicting with the account of Adam and Eve, because there's a multitude of problems with that. I mean, you would have to bring in what came first, the death or the fall of mankind. Um, yeah, the original, yeah, because if it was evolution, then death was around far before the fall of man, and that the fall of
Right.
man is when death became instituted in our human lives. I tell you what, hey, for Mormons, I do have a channel, and Brooklyn, I gotta go have dinner. I like your style, for Mormons, and Brooklyn, I like you too, bro. I think you're open, a good dude, an open atheist, and I think you have an interesting story to tell. Um, I went ahead and I put my channel in the private chat. If you just type in at Lupin underscore Wolf right there, if you type that in YouTube in the search, you'll find my channel. I have a stream that I'm going to be doing, talking to some Unitarian Unitarianists. But I like to keep my streams a little bit. Uh, I don't like it to be a debate either. I like to have a conversation, and I really don't want to push people into an argumentative state. More or less
Right.
a philosophical state where, hey, if we don't agree, we can shake hands and say, well, let's agree to disagree. We don't have to become enemies, and let's try this again some other time.
Yeah. Lupin, let me just interject really quick. I just put my email. This is my public email address in private chat. If you would like to do a stream with me sometime, same thing for you, Brooklyn. If you want to set it up, you can email me through there. I would like to talk to both of you.
Can can you both subscribe to my YouTube and just post a link in the comments, maybe, so I know I'll get it?
Yeah, I'm subscribed. I've clicked the bell. I didn't want to put that because I don't want to promote my channel or my stuff on your stream, sir. I don't want to do that.
I don't have many followers. Don't worry about that. If any of them come to you, I'll be happy.
But what I'm saying is, I do my streams are one-on-one, and usually I do it through Skype. I don't use
YouTube,
the program that you're using. I just use OBS. But Lupin, I'd love to have a discussion with you sometime, if you wouldn't mind.
For Mormons, are you the one with the Bible and looked like a starry night? Is that your channel?
It is. It's actually.
It says For Mormons 1.
Yeah, that's me right there.
But okay, so do you have two accounts? You have For Mormons and then For Mormons 1. Which one?
No, it's For Mormons 1. There was already a channel called For Mormons. I'm also on Rumble as For Mormons. There on YouTube, there was already a For Mormons established, so I just put a number 1 after that.
Give me 1 second here. I subscribe to you, Brooklyn. Let me get to For Mormons. Let's see. Late night straight talk with For Mormons. Is that you?
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and get you subs. And I like both of y'all. It's just I got to go and have dinner, and then I got a stream going on. And like I said, it's real chill. I do a little bit more than one-on-ones, but I don't like to get it past 5 people because then
it gets nuts because talking to too many.
Anyway,
people.
It was nice meeting you, Lupin. God bless you. I hope your stream goes well, and I hope to hear back from you. I don't see your channel, so if you'll leave me a comment on mine or email me, so I can subscribe to yours. There's not much I can do right now. I'm kind of stuck in bed, so we can hook up that way. But anyway, I'm not trying to take anything from you, Brooklyn. I want to speak with you, sir. I really do. I really do.
Yeah, I'll let you guys conversase. You guys have a good one.
Thanks for stopping by.
God bless, and we'll get you back on the right track, man.
Well, like I said, I'm not here to convert you or anything. I want to have a discussion. So I apologize for that, Brooklyn. I really am not here to promote my channel or anything like that. I would really love to have a one-on-one with you sometime.
I don't mind.
And also the lady that was just speaking, she left, but I hope she hears this. I would like to talk with her as well. So
her name was Commander 401.
Commander 401. Yeah, apparently is she a streamer as well? Because I'd like to follow her stream.
I don't know. I mean, I just got the StreamYard, and I'm only attaching it to the YouTube, and that's it.
Okay. Well, can we go back to the evolution discussion that you had brought up? And I apologize, my mic isn't the greatest right now. I'm just using a regular microphone while I'm in bed, so if it's echoing or my voice is kind of going away. So let's go on the evolution. So the name of the book is The Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, or the Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life. That's the entire title of Darwin's book. And I've read it, to be honest with you. I've read it. And
I never read it cover to cover. When I was in school, I read parts of it. It was like part of a curriculum, but I'm not in a position or would want to support everything that Darwin said. All right, but I do, feel that evolution from one species to another occurs, and so that's why that crushed a bit of my biblical literalism.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. just so I can get a further understanding, and because I don't want to be accused of assumptions. So they say about people who have assumptions that take the first three letters of it. So I don't want to do anything about that. So do you believe in like the Big Bang and then the theory about how that goes, how the formation of the stars and they exploded, created heavy metals, and do you agree with that kind of theory?
All right. I think it makes some sense. I am not a scientist. Okay.
No,
So
I'm not asking from a scientific
no,
perspective. I'm not one either.
I don't. I leave stuff in my own mind when it comes to, let's say, how all things came into being, or the formation of the universe, the Big Bang, all that sort of stuff. I still have that in an I don't know position in my mind.
Are you kind of I'm trying to ask open-ended questions because I don't want to, corner you. Are you
It's
more
all right.
open to
Listen, again,
life is
honestly, it doesn't matter. You could ask anything you want.
well? No, I'm trying. Well, the point is, I'm really trying to understand where you're coming from because I don't want to address something that either you're not sure on or but where you stand.
I don't
So
know how all things came into being. I don't know.
okay, would you say that you would lean more heavily that we're a result of chance over design?
Meaning the universe
The
or
universe, all the way
human
down to
beings.
living creatures.
I would lean towards. I definitely lean away from a being made us, like a God made us. So I would say more random,
Kind of a random chance type of thing.
more random. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I don't have it all figured out, but it doesn't. It would not make sense to me that a being or a person did that.
Right. Right. No, I totally I get what you're saying. I really do, and I thank you for asking that. So would so I guess let me go from the perspective that I'm going because I do speak with a lot of atheists and agnostics and stuff like that, and it's been my experience that everyone has, even though we're all categorized, even when we look at religions like Islam, Christianity, all that kind of stuff, there's all these different, I guess we can call them sects. I even find that actually consistent with those who come from an atheistic or agnostic viewpoint. So that's why I'm not trying to pin you down. I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. And so a lot of conversations that I have with atheists, a lot of them will say that we're basically everything that we see and who we are and everything is the result of just pure chance. And so I'm just kind of wondering if that's where you're coming from
Well,
or
I mean,
not.
again, pure chance. I guess that's how you would define that. I do believe in a natural selection. All right, when it comes to animal species. All right.
Right, right.
So,
Well,
so
I
that
believe in it too.
that wouldn't be pure chance, right? I mean,
Right,
there's
right. So natural selection
process
is,
involved.
yeah, if I understand natural selection correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is survival of the fittest. So, for example, if we look at the Darwin's finches, right, off of the Galapagos, where you notice the changes of the beak size, so that those that were able to eat the food, they had the larger beaks, or the beaks adapted, they were able to continue on surviving, while those that had the incorrect beaks, they died out. So now we have the Darwin's finches, right?
Yeah, adaptation, and
Adaptation,
I
right?
believe
So,
that's how species evolve through
okay,
adaptation. It
right.
has to do with environment, right? It has to do with survival of the fittest. I guess that's a role in there. All right, the survival of a particular species. Many species go extinct. All right, but is that really? Would you call that random? I don't think it's like random, but I think there's a natural process behind it. But I don't
All
think
right.
there's mind behind it. So I guess that would be my answer.
What I'm talking about is even before creatures were created. Like when I speak with others, they'll say, like, they bring up the Big Bang, and I don't know how familiar you are with the Big Bang theory. I don't want to go through a whole thing.
Just little bit. All right.
Okay.
Um, it's when you get into a person gets into cosmology and the Big Bang, and I'm telling you, I don't know much about it. So
Let me just tell you the general theory, and there are some people that disagree with it. Some people are starting to walk away from it, even atheists, but still the majority of them believe on it. There was the Big Bang, and there was this initial formation of stars. And eventually, when they collapsed, they produced heavier materials, like iron and carbon and stuff like that. And they were, they were called Gen 1 stars, Generation 1. And then they formed new stars, and basically through the formation and explosion of these stars created all these heavy metals and stuff. And that's where basically matter came from. That's how the Earth was formed. Stuff like gold and all that stuff was in that creation of stars forming, collapsing. While they're collapsing, they're producing these heavy metals. And but to make a long story short, for example, the creation of the solar system, how it came to be was there was all this heavy metal. There was the sun was forming, or not heavy metal, but heavy material. Our sun was forming in the center of it, and there was a cloud of dust around us that eventually started collapsing into, rocks and boulders, and they started sticking together and colliding together, and that's how the planets were formed. And then through that, there was basically, on Earth, there was a chemical reaction where there was let's say a pool that had some like enzymes and stuff in it, and either through a process of maybe it was struck by electricity or something, we don't know, it created the first leads up to the first cell, the first single-celled organism. And then from there, all of life evolved from that point. That's the normal definition. Is that something you would agree with? Again, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm trying to understand where you're coming from.
I would say seems to make sense, but I do not know if that's what happened.
Okay,
right?
no, that's true.
A pretty good theory. It seems.
Yeah, and again, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, and I'm not trying to force you in a corner. I'm just trying to understand. So I understand exactly what you're saying, that you can't commit one way, absolutely.
I like to
but it makes sense, right?
If I'm going to make a statement, I'm going to really want to feel really strong about it.
Right.
I don't want to make statements that I'm not sure of. And that would be
exactly.
something I'm really not sure of. So for me to say, oh, that's exactly what I think happened, I can't get there. Okay, because I don't have enough understanding of it.
Right.
But
no, I totally get you. I'm not trying to pin you to make an absolute statement. I'm really not trying to do that.
As a general idea, it makes sense to me. Yes.
Okay. So let's just, can we do just a thing of assumption? I know that you're not saying you absolutely agree with this, but going along these terms, thinking about it this way: if we were all a product of chance, and it happened like they described the Big Bang and the formation of the galaxies and life and everything like that, and everything happened through chance. My question, and this is actually something that I dealt with before I became a Christian, so this isn't something that I'm just pulling out of the air or anything, because I really, really was struggling with this. If everything comes about by chance, through natural selection or whatever process that we're going to use, how can we trust our current thinking? If, like, for example, my brain is basically came together by chance and by accident, how can I be sure that what I'm thinking is actually correct and logical and true? How would I even know that?
Okay. I've done some thinking about these things. Right now again, I am not a total expert on this in this field, but I will say that I don't think we can be sure of that much. I think we can be sure of very little. Um, meaning meaning in an absolute way. Okay.
Right.
Because yes, I could be thinking incorrectly, you could be thinking incorrectly. All right. But I don't think that matters. Right? I don't think that affects us in real life. I mean, the human brain is, to me, the most important organ that we have. All right. As being human, our humanity is mostly defined in our brain and our thoughts, right?
Right.
So, I mean, are we perfect minds? I don't think so, but we're good enough. We're good enough in the evolutionary cycle to be where we're at. All right.
Okay.
So, your thoughts, you can trust your thoughts, and I can trust my thoughts. I do trust my thoughts. All right. So, does that mean my thoughts are perfect? No, not at all. So I hope that may help you answer it.
No, 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 no. That's an honest answer, and I like how you included me in that too. With my brain, am I in the right way? And that is the number one issue for me that I struggled with. I'll be honest with you, for a very, very, very long time. If my brain, like you said, it's the most important organ. One of the issues that I deal with, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's called intracranial hypertension. And it's basically the fluid that your brain floats around in. I have too much in my head right now, so it's causing a lot of pressure on my brain. I'm losing my vision. I have balance and dizziness problems and all sorts of stuff like that. So I'm actually going to have a surgery where they're going to put a shunt into my head and run it to my stomach to drain out the extra fluid. But yeah, the brain, is where our intellect comes from and where we process stuff like that. Just my concern is, if that. Okay, let me put it this way. Before I got sick, this started happening about 10 years ago. Before that, I worked my entire life. I'm 49 years old. My first job was, I was 9 years old. I used to deliver newspapers. But I was right around in the 90s when the computer revolution really started to take off. And so I got involved in the IT industry. I actually ended up being a beta tester for Microsoft in Redmond. I lived in the Seattle area for 5 years. I also ran a computer help desk, but I also got into computer programming a lot. I was a coder. I also built and networked computers. And so when I think a lot along the lines, I think a lot about logic, because that's how basically computers work. There has to be a logical project. Like in a computer programming, there's what's called an if-else statement. If this thing is true, then this happens. Otherwise, this happens. That type of thing, right? And that is logic right there. And the real struggle that I have is, if our brains are just a creation of random happenstance, random chance, and we trust our brains, but how can we really know that through chance, even though we trust our brains, that we're really trusting something that is true? How do we test that? That would be my question.
Well, the thing is, I understand that, and I don't think that we have to question our brains as much as maybe a religious person may think. All right. I think our brains are evolved. All right. They're pretty good. Right. But I don't think they're perfect. And within each individual, you're going to have a different brain function, and it's not going to be perfect, but it is evolving. It's evolved because it works for us, at least in the generation that we're living in. All right. 1,000 years from now, we might have a much more advanced brain as a species. All right. But I'm not looking for brain perfection. All right. And I think that a lot of religious people are looking for this perfect answer where there is none. Okay. If that makes sense. So,
It does.
so like, when I was a Christian, I would find comfort into thinking there is this perfect answer, and pretty much it was always Jesus, right? Jesus was the perfect answer. All right, so I would find comfort in that. Now, as an atheist, I don't find any comfort in that, but I don't have any difficulty navigating that I don't have a perfect answer. So I find myself very comfortable with accepting myself the way I am. Okay,
Right, right.
imperfections and all.
Great. Then that's a great answer. So let me ask you this question. Um, from everything that you said, you're not exactly sure, but you lean towards this one direction. And you're not going to exactly point on an absolute, but you think this is pretty much how it works through natural selection. Regarding our brain's perfections, you don't know for certain, but you believe you can trust it. Wouldn't you say that would be a matter of faith for you? Now, not in a faith in a God, but a
Mhm.
faith in a belief of your origin and the way you are right now.
It's a type of faith, right?
Okay, I'm
It-
not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just
yeah, no,
trying to
I,
understand.
I've thought about these things. Okay.
Yeah,
So this
right,
is something I have thought about. It's
good,
a type of faith. All right. It's
right,
not religious faith, but it's a type of faith. Like, I'm comfortable uh, navigating life on my own. I'm comfortable with that. So yes, I'm trusting in my own brain, my own thinking. All right. That
hmm
is that I could say for sure. I am trusting in my own thinking. All right.
right,
I
right. So
that
that's
doesn't
that's
mean
it's
that
like a
doesn't
belief for you,
mean
right?
it doesn't mean that I think my thinking is always perfect.
Right,
Okay.
right,
Because I don't really think that really exists. That's like you know, something that, I don't know what the word would be. That would be something that would be what we would love, right? Maybe, to have a perfect brain that, functions perfectly. But I don't think really that's realistic. So I always fall back on reality. And reality is I do trust my brain and I trust my thoughts. All right. This is when I was religious, I really didn't trust my thoughts.
hmm.
I'm confident in my thoughts, but I
So
fully understand they could be wrong.
so okay, I'm not. Please, if I'm coming off as if I'm attacking you about your brain, it's not that. I'm
Oh, no,
really
I don't. I don't think that at all.
okay, because I'm the
I'm
last one
trying
to
to.
talk about it. I literally
I'm
have
trying
brain
to give.
damage,
I'm
so
trying to give honest answers. Okay.
yeah. So I mean, what I'm hearing from you, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm really not. But what I'm hearing from you is you're expressing a strongly held belief in something.
In what? That I can trust my own thoughts?
Yeah, and that then also you're talking about through natural selection. There's a lot of people that agree with that, and in evolution. So
I
that's
believe
a
in natural selection. Yes, I do.
yeah. Well, and I
I
did. Christians
believe
actually do as well.
I
So
believe I can trust my own thoughts with the
right,
caveat that I don't think they're perfect. All right.
right,
But I think they're trustworthy. All right.
right,
Now, I could become mentally ill. Okay. I could suffer Alzheimer's. All right. At that point, I may still trust in my own thoughts, but people outside of me may see he's not thinking right. Right.
right,
So
right.
that also could happen. I mean, I have a mother who's has advanced, very advanced dementia. All
Oh,
right.
I'm sorry.
And she doesn't think clearly at all. Now,
Right,
now she might think she thinks clearly. All right. But it's obvious to others that she doesn't. All right.
right,
And I could suffer that. All right. But as of right now, I think I'm level headed. I think I'm rational, right? But that can change. So that's it.
Well, I'm not thinking of you as being irrational or mentally deranged or anything. I'm not thinking that of you at all. I'm being honest with you here. But literally, to me, from what it sounds like, and I'm not going from a religious perspective, to me, it sounds like belief in, I'm not talking supernatural, but a belief in the state that where you're at right now. I mean, you used a great example about Alzheimer's. If you get Alzheimer's, and I'm sorry for, was it your grandmother or mother? I forgot
Oh,
who it was.
my mother.
Your mother. My father is actually in the early stages of Alzheimer's, so it's happening to him too. So I'm starting to relate, and it's really difficult. So it's, man, my heart goes out to you for that. It's really rough. But still, you mentioned, even if we get into the Alzheimer's, I can imagine, I still believe that I'm thinking correctly, even though the other one else can say it. So really, it comes down to, for me, I'm not even bringing religion into this. I'm just talking about belief. It sounds like we're talking about, this is the way we believe things are, because really, when it comes to the process of thought, I mean, what really is science? Science is something that you can take into a laboratory. You can do tests on it to either try to prove or disprove a theory. But when we're talking about, our thoughts and stuff like that, right now there's still arguments within the scientific community of where consciousness comes from. We don't know. Again, I'm not trying to bring the supernatural into this. I'm just bringing about things that the secular people are talking about. But what I'm hearing from you, and you're making good arguments, I'm not attacking your arguments, but what I'm hearing is a lot of it is based on a belief of some sort. And again, I'm not bringing in the supernatural. It's a belief. So,
One of my favorite things I say a lot to Christians is,
mm-hmm.
I believe in a lot of things. God is not one of them.
Right. No, I get that. I totally get that. And like I said, this discussion I'm having with you right now, I'm not even talking about God.
No,
I'm not
saying
talking about him at all.
I recognize I believe in a lot of things. Yeah.
Right. But would you say there are some things that you believe in that you can't prove in a laboratory? You can't do experiments on and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So,
I mean,
so
it's
by
just
definition, that really is
so
a
many
belief.
things that, you know, that we can believe in or believe, all right, that have, could be wrong. All right. That's why I'm not saying I know there is no God. Maybe if I was
Right.
that type of thinker, I would say that, but I don't think like that. All right.
No,
So
I,
what
I
I
get you,
believe, what I believe could be wrong, and what I believe can also change. You see, that's
right.
one thing as an atheist. I can change my mind. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
not difficult for me to change my mind. If somebody brought me evidence of God that was so persuasive to me, I don't have a problem changing my mind. I consider the ability to change one's mind as an asset, not a bad thing. All right. To me, closed mindedness is not the best place to be. I
I
want to
agree with
have
you.
beliefs, but I also want to be open. All right. And that's
Right.
kind of, how my mind thinks. I don't see the value in closing my mind.
Right. I get you completely. You may not believe this, quote unquote, and I had to put that pun in there. Sorry, excuse me. Um, but no, I'm actually in agreement with a lot of what you're saying, and so I hope I'm not coming off as attacking.
No, no, I
I'm
told you. No way.
okay.
I think this is a conversation. All right.
Okay.
And I like challenging questions because for
Right.
me, that stimulates my mind. All right. And I'm all for expanding your mind. Okay.
Right.
I'm all for that. All right.
Right.
Because if my mind is not active and is not stimulated, I feel like I'm one step closer to dead.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Right. Well, you know what? You kind of walked into this, so let me ask you this: what do you think happens when we die?
I think nothing. We die. That's it. Like I
Okay.
don't think we go anywhere. I don't think I think that when we die, we just cease to be alive anymore. And that's it. There's no, I don't believe in an afterlife. I don't
Right.
believe, those types of things. So when we're pronounced dead, and that's not near death, but it's
Uh,
death,
death. Yeah,
the
right.
final thing. Okay, I think that's it. We no longer
So
exist as a conscious being, and then
yeah, yeah,
we're just molecules and stuff that goes back in the earth.
right. So yeah, total annihilation. You no consciousness at all whatsoever.
Yeah,
I can't even say you won't know you never existed because you won't exist.
that's
It'll beyond
that's
that
what,
point.
yeah,
That type of thing, right?
and I'm not worried about it.
Right. Well, I'm not trying to get you to worry. I'm
No,
just
I'm just
asking your
saying a
opinion.
lot of
It's
the reason I'm saying that is I speak to so many Christians that
uh-huh.
like really bothers them. Like, I'm not putting this on you at all. I'm just saying I speak to a lot of Christians, that's like what? It's
Uh,
like I'm totally, and I sincerely mean this, I'm totally not bothered by
right.
that. It's like I'm
No, I
not
get that.
frightened of death at all. Okay.
I get that. I mean, like I said, I before I became a Christian, I was an atheist. A lot of the things that you were saying, I actually agreed 100% with what you're saying, and a lot of the stuff that you're saying now, even as though I'm a Christian, I understand where you're coming from. That's why I'm not attacking you or anything like that. I'm just trying to define and to better understand where you're coming from because I don't want to be an ASS by making assumptions about you
I
and because
appreciate you being I appreciate you being careful.
well, I want to be. I don't want to make an assumption about anyone.
Yeah.
Um,
Because that's
let me just
another
ask you
thing I
one more
find.
question. And again, this has nothing to do with God. I just from your worldview, okay? Um, do you believe there's a purpose to life, any purpose at all, outside of what we make?
uh Outside of what we make of it.
Yeah,
What do you
like do
mean?
we make our own purpose, or is there a no purpose at all unless we come up with some kind of I don't know how to phrase it.
I think
Um,
I mean I think we make our own purpose, and our purpose will vary from person to person. Right?
okay,
That's why you might have a creative person and they find deep meaning and purpose in, let's say, writing or painting or doing music, and that is what they make of their life and their purpose. Preachers and ministers and Christians might find their purpose in serving God, in serving Jesus. A Muslim might find their purpose in serving Allah and Muhammad. All right. So I think it's very clear that we as human beings develop our own purpose. And yeah, so that's where I would stand on that.
okay, that's perfect. I really appreciate you answering those questions. If you would act, if sometime if you want to look at it, um, at the dictionary definition, what you're actually describing is a religion. Did you know that the Supreme Court of Oregon has recognized atheism as a religion? Because what we've got here is we have an initial where we came from, a purpose or the reason for life or what happens during life or whatever, depending whatever it is, we come up for it, and then what happens when we die. That's basically what all religion sets on. It's a set of beliefs and that we live by them according to it. And so I don't want you to take my words for granted for it. Please feel free to look up Merriam-Webster or anything else like that. But you're actually part of a religion, believe it or not.
Well, here's what I would say about that. Um, I could make a religion of atheism, right?
Mm-hmm.
But atheism itself is not a religion. In other words, I can create I could have my own religion, right? And what people call they call it a worldview, right? All
Right.
right. So I can create, like, if you, like, when you ask me a question about purpose, um, atheists can answer that all different ways.
Right.
Right. It's not, unique. I could be an atheist and answer the question totally different. Um, Another atheist might think differently about how we came into being. All right. An atheist might reject the Big Bang. I mean, so atheism itself is not a religion, but it can be grouped into, if you follow along a series of beliefs. All right. Then you might know my worldview, but you're not going to know my worldview because I'm an atheist. What I
Well,
encounter that's different with you is you seem to be defining a worldview of mine. All right.
I'm not defining worldview,
But
and
you're
I agree
you're
with what you
asking
said.
appropriate questions that would lead to me revealing my thoughts on a variety of issues. Most Christians I talk to, they
Uh-huh.
just say, "You're an atheist. I know your worldview."
Well, no, I'm not saying that. No. That's not what I'm trying to say, and I apologize for coming across that way. That's
No,
not
no, I'm
what
saying
I'm.
you're not doing that. But I'm saying
Okay.
that most of the Christians I talk to, when I say I'm an atheist, they go right into, "Well, you're in your worldview, this and that and the other thing." I'm like, well, you really got to ask me, okay? Because
Right.
I'm really not in a religious form of atheism. I do think for myself. All right.
Right. No, you do, and you've asked a lot of very important questions of yourself, and you've really studied it. And even as a Christian, obviously I disagree with the whole deity thing, but I applaud you for putting thought into this matter. I think that's something that everyone should do, regardless if they're in a religion or not. But would you agree to me? Okay, would you agree with me on this one point, that even in the context of atheists, we all have a particular worldview? Even if it's different from the others, we all have a particular worldview.
I think that, I mean, that word is really funny to me because it's a big buzzword nowadays. Right?
Well,
It was
I
it
don't know how
wasn't.
else to put it. I mean, I don't
Well,
want to
like
say.
when I was years ago, let's say in
Hmm.
the 70s and 80s, you'd never hear that. You know? All right. But today you hear it all the time. So my idea of a worldview and what it would be things that I believe or don't believe that shape the way I approach different aspects of life. All right.
Okay, I
And
agree
that
with
would be,
that.
I guess, a worldview. And I can accept that. Right.
Okay.
But I don't think atheism is a worldview. I think that atheists certainly can have a worldview, right? But it can't be boxed up neatly in the word atheism. So
You're true. I mean, there, like I said, I've had a lot of different discussions with atheists, which is why I'm asking you all these questions, because I don't want to make assumptions on you at all whatsoever. And you're right. A lot of people who come from the atheistic or agnostic background have a lot of different beliefs or settings, and it may not be a organized religion in the sense that, like, you have Islam, Christianity, all that kind of stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking about when I say religion. I'm not talking about a man-made thing. Because I think whenever someone says the word religion, I think people automatically revert to thinking about the religions that are out in the world. I mean, even like Buddhism and Shintoism and all that kind of stuff. They're religions, right? And so when I say the word religion, I'm not really referring to that kind of stuff. It's kind of like when you said the word worldview is kind of a catchphrase. I think in the minds, and this is just from the discussions that I have. Every time I say the word religion, most atheists automatically assume that I'm talking about an organized religion type of thing like that. What I'm really talking about is on a personal level, an individual base by base, regardless of what their beliefs are. Do you have a belief of something in the beginning. What happened to cause you to be here? Your life. Is there a purpose? Do you make the purpose yourself? You answered that, I think, very, very honestly and intellectually. And then what happens at the point of death? And so for me, and literally according to a dictionary, that's actually in essence what a religion is. It doesn't mean that every atheist believes the exact same way that you do. It's how you view. And so that's what I mean when I say religion. I'm not talking about atheists go to, I don't know, atheist church every day and worship the flying spaghetti monster and stuff like that. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm really am talking about on an individual basis, that type of thing.
Well,
Does that make sense?
I agree that on an individual basis, people do have a worldview. So I agree with that. I just don't think it's defined by the word atheism, right?
Right.
Because it's too limiting a term. Right?
It is, and that's why I'm using the word religion, because really by definition of religion, it encompasses all three of those aspects of it. And I'm not talking about, again, the established religions. It's the worldview that comes from, where do we believe we came from, or how we came to be where we are. Is there a purpose of life? Do we give ourselves purpose? And what happens after death? Those are the three things that we hold to. So that's literally, when I say religion, that's what I'm talking about. So maybe we could use worldview and religion between you and I in this discussion interchangeably.
I would say it's interchangeable, but like religion, when you say religion, it implies a different thing than, I guess, when we say worldview.
Well,
I'm not looking at the definition of religion, but I know it has more of a dogmatic look to it. Right.
Well, let's face it. With religion, and I'll speak from this as a Christian, but also other religionists that I've encountered. Religion is basically a set of beliefs that we adhere to and believe in, and live accordingly to. Correct?
A set of beliefs that we live according to.
Yeah, that we believe, set of beliefs, something that we believe in, and that we live in according to. So, for example, as a Christian, and I'm not doing this to promote Christianity, but I'm using it as an example. I believe I was created. I believe that God created everything, that there is a God, that God created everything, that He gave me a purpose in life. And I believe that at death, there is going to be, there is more to it than just the physical world. Now, compare or contrast with what you told me, and I just want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. You're not for certain on anything. I'm not trying to nail you in a spot or anything like that. You say, your mind may change as more evidence comes, and I'm not saying you'll become a religionist afterwards, but how your current outlook today is, it may change tomorrow based on whatever evidence. You may you may believe differently towards the physical world in a different way that you do now. I'm not saying you're going to become a Muslim or a Christian tomorrow. That's not what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But you do have, as of right now, you do have a belief where you say that the Big Bang. You're not sure if it's exactly what happened, but it seems most likely, and that life came about through chance. You use natural selection for that, and then you mentioned the purpose for your life is basically the purpose that we give ourselves. You mentioned art. And then you also said when we die, that's it. It's basically annihilation, over with.
That's
really in comparison. I mean, that's
you could say, if you wanted to put that into call that a religion. Well, yeah, that would be the religion according to Brooklyn Lou.
Okay, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So, and it's different for each person. It really can be, especially among the atheist agnostic community, and even in different religions. I mean, and even in Islam, you have multiple sects within Islam. Of course, the main ones are the Shia and the Sunni, but you also have like the Sufism and all these different things. They have all these different beliefs. In Mormonism, there's actually 400 different sects, and they all have their own prophets and apostles and everything like that. And so, but we all have our set of beliefs, is what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
And so when I'm using the word religion, I'm actually going to a secular dictionary, and that's basically how they set it out. So I'm not talking about organized religion. I'm talking about how we live our lives. That's all I'm talking
Well,
about.
like we spoke before, and that I said clearly, I have beliefs.
Right, right,
So there's definitely, and if you ask me questions, I'm going to tell you what those beliefs are. Okay,
right,
but
right.
they're not, as far as I know, they're pretty much my own. I mean, I know people share these beliefs that I have. All right, but as you know, I don't go to a church or a group that, you know, tries to reinforce these beliefs in me. You
Right,
know,
right, exactly.
it's just, there are people who have similar beliefs than that I do. All right.
Right.
But what defines me as an atheist is my lack of belief in something. Okay.
Right. Well,
And,
we all have a lack of belief in something. It's just I'm focusing on what we have a belief in, and I like how you put it. It your belief can change depending on what evidence you may come across in the future, whatever how large or small a degree that belief may change. I mean, that's believe it or not, that's the same thing for me as well. Um, so I I really appreciate your honesty on this, and I hope I'm not taking you off topic. And again, I hope I don't feel like I'm
hey,
putting you in a
I'm
corner. I'm not
happy.
trying to do that.
I'm happy to have the conversation. All right. As far as running these live streams, like I said, I don't know how to do this very well because I'm brand new at it. All right. I see people in the chat, but it's hard for me to read the chat and then speak with somebody, or to speak to two people at the same time. It's just, like I said, I can't multitask at that level.
Right.
So,
Friend, I get you totally. I get you. When I'm actually live streaming, I got to have two monitors set up, and I've got to have notifications popping me up because I just it's so hard to keep up with everything. So it's rough. But
and
I
I
do want
want
to
to say
compliment
this.
you. You-
I
You're
want to say
for
this.
for yeah.
Everyone in the chat, I appreciate all of you. Okay, because everyone that pops in this chat, is someone I'm grateful to have in here. All right. I'm speaking with Phil, for Mormons. All right.
Thank you for remembering my name.
But I appreciate every single person. And I'm going to ask, if you want, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I plan on doing a lot of this, this year. I'm brand new to doing this. So, anyone wants to join, I want to be open, and discuss things based on, what different human beings believe or don't believe. Right. And I appreciate this conversation. And, it's been wonderful. I got to go because I got to go get some food. My girlfriend's coming home soon. And
All right.
when she comes home, she likes to have, she's working all day. So
Oh,
she likes to have something to eat
make her
quickly.
something nice and special, man. Nice and special.
So
Um,
I'm gonna get her something, and just grateful for everyone that stopped by, and
yeah.
subscribe, and I hope to be having more of these. And I'm gonna subscribe to anyone that I could see. All right, in chat or anything.
Well,
Just
my friend, I want to encourage others people too that I really have enjoyed this conversation with you. And even if you guys hate everything that I'm saying, because I'm the Christian here, please subscribe to this guy. He's brand new, but you're actually doing a really wonderful stream, and you're not looking to debate, which we're just having a discussion. And I've really enjoyed it with you, and I really would like to continue this either on your channel or on my channel sometime if you'd be
of
up to it.
course, I'll come on yours one day soon.
All right. Well,
All right.
I put it in the private chat. I don't want to put it in public, but that's my email address if you ever want to contact me, and we can set something up. But really thank you for being willing to talk to me and just having this dialogue. I really appreciate it, and I really hope that your channel grows and it does really well for you.
I appreciate those well wishes, and I hope you feel your health issues get solved.
I hope
So you,
so. You know, at
so
least I
you
still
know
have a brain. I had an MRI a week before Christmas, and they found a brain, so I was happy about that. So,
you have a pretty sharp brain. All
well,
right,
I think you do too, sir.
I'm going
Well, thank you.
in for surgery tomorrow morning.
Oh, are you?
Yes, tomorrow morning, but it's not on the brain.
Well, I know you're an atheist, but please don't be offended. I'm going to be praying for you for the surgery tomorrow, okay?
Hey, I
That's
don't
just who
mind
I
that.
am.
I don't mind that, but I don't think it's going to do anything.
I know, but I'm still going to do it for you anyway because I care for you.
All
So,
right.
thank you very much. I'll leave the stage. Thank you, sir, for having me on. It was a real honor, and thank you for this discussion. And best of luck with the surgery tomorrow and with your girlfriend tonight. Get her something good.
All right. And thanks everyone for dropping by. Appreciate every one of you. Have a good night. Bye.